A stonecutter stands on a ledge 100 meters above the road. The work is finished. 3 scripts cut into the rock. A king in relief, his foot on the throat of a man. His master gives the order. He raises his chisel and begins to cut away the ledge beneath his own feet. A boy of perhaps 14 is hanging by a rope on the side of a cliff in western Iran. It is September of 1847. He has come from far away. He has volunteered for this. In his right hand, he holds a pad of damp paper. He presses it against the rock. Beneath his fingers are 112 lines of writing. They were cut 2,350 years ago in a language no living person on earth can read. Below him, on the road, a 37-year-old British officer is watching through a brass telescope. The officer has spent 12 years of his life trying to reach what the boy is now touching. The cliff is called Behistun in the old tongue, the place where the gods live. It rises straight from the plain of western Iran like a wall pushed up out of the earth. Its face is white limestone, and on that face, 100 meters above the road, 3 columns of carved writing share the rock with a stone king and his prisoners. This is the story of the largest empire the ancient world had yet made. It stretched from the Aegean to the Indus. It had 23 provinces, a network of paved roads, a postal relay system that moved a letter from Susa to Sardis in a week. It tolerated every religion in its territory. It freed the Jews from Babylon. And when it fell, in 330 BC to Alexander, the 3 scripts it had written in died with it. The clerks who could read them were dead. The schools that taught them closed. The languages, all 3, went silent. For more than 2 millennia, the empire spoke through a stone wall no one could read. How did a civilization that wrote everything down become illegible? Who finally taught the world to read it again? And why does the moment the thread is rejoined belong, in the end, not to the officer with the telescope, but to a boy whose name we will never know? A muleteer pulls his lead animal off the road and into the shade. The white limestone of the cliff has been throwing back the sun for 3 hours, and the dust of the road is in his throat. He drinks from a skin. The mule drinks from a trough that someone, a long time ago, cut into the rock. He tips his head back to stretch his neck, and that is when he sees them. Markings, high up, too high to read, too high to reach. He has passed this place every spring of his working life, and every spring he forgets and then remembers again that there is writing on the wall above his head. He does not know what it says. No one he has ever met knows what it says. The old people in the villages say it was put there by Jesus, or by Solomon, or by a king whose name has been forgotten. A Greek traveler centuries before wrote the name of the cliff down as Behistun and said it was sacred to Zeus. He was wrong about Zeus. He was guessing about everything else too. The markings are simply there, the way the cliff is there, the way the road is there. The road is older than memory. It runs east from Babylon, through the Zagros passes, up onto the Iranian plateau, and on to Ecbatana, the summer capital of kings. Every army that ever crossed between Mesopotamia and Persia crossed under this cliff. Every caravan, every messenger, every fugitive. The cliff has a name older than the writing on it. The local name, in a tongue closer to the original, is Behistun, the place where the gods live. The man who cut the writing into the rock made one decision above all others. He put it where everyone would see it and where no one could touch it, 100 meters up, visible to all, reachable by none. Before dawn, a Persian courier swings down from one horse and onto another without breaking stride. The relay station is a low building of mud brick at the edge of the plateau. The new horse is already saddled. The leather satchel is heavy on his shoulder, and the seal on it has not been broken since Susa. He swallows the cold air. It tastes of stone and horse. His thighs are raw from yesterday's ride. He kicks the new horse forward into the dark, and the next station is a day west. His name will not survive. His system will. Herodotus, writing a generation later from the other side, will say of these couriers that neither snow, nor rain, nor heat, nor the dark of night keeps them from finishing the course laid out for them. The Greeks were impressed. They were meant to be. He is one node in a network the empire calls the Royal Road. It runs from Sardis on the Aegean to Susa in southwestern Iran, 2,700 kilometers. A walking man would take 3 months. A courier in relay takes 7 days. The empire he is serving was founded a generation ago by a man called Cyrus. In 550 BC, Cyrus broke the Median kings. By 539, he had taken Babylon without a fight. He freed the Jews of the captivity and sent them home to Jerusalem with permission to rebuild their temple. It was a new kind of empire. It did not try to make everyone Persian. It collected taxes in 23 provinces called satrapies, and it left the languages, the gods, the laws, and the local elites mostly in place. Its administration ran in Aramaic. Its kings spoke Persian. Its temple records ran in Babylonian and Elamite. The empire absorbed. The courier reaches the next relay just after sunrise. He hands the satchel to a man who has been sleeping in his boots. The seal is still unbroken. He does not know what is inside it. He does not need to know. He dictates each word slowly. The scribe waits. The wet clay is cold under the stylus, and the room is quiet enough that the press of the reed against the surface can be heard from the far wall. He is 30 years old. He has been on the throne for less than a year. He has fought 19 battles in 12 months against 9 kings. He has won them all, and he is not certain anyone will believe how he got here. His name is Darius. He is not the son of the previous king. He is not from the main line of the royal family. He is a cousin, a spear-bearer, a man from a junior branch of the house of Achaemenid, suddenly wearing the crown of the largest empire on earth. The story he is dictating goes like this. Cyrus the Great had 2 sons. Cambyses, the elder, became king. Bardia, the younger, was murdered in secret by his own brother, and the murder was hidden. Then Cambyses died in Egypt. While he was gone, a Median priest named Gaumata took advantage of the secret. He looked enough like the dead Bardia to pretend to be him. He held the throne for 7 months. Then Darius and 6 other Persian noblemen broke into the fortress where he was hiding and killed him. This is the story Darius needs the world to believe. He carves it 100 meters up a cliff in 3 languages because he needs every literate person who has not yet been born to know he did not steal the crown. He killed a liar who had stolen it first. The Persian word for the lie is drauga. Gaumata lied. The rebels lied. They were drauga men. Darius was the opposite. He was Arta, the man of the order, the man of the truth. Modern historians have read the inscription more carefully than the people it was meant for. They have noticed that no one outside Darius's own account ever mentions an impostor. It is possible Gaumata was a fraud and Darius killed him. It is possible Bardia was the real Bardia and Darius killed the rightful king. The cliff does not say. The cliff only says what Darius told it to say. The master sculptor stands on the ledge and looks at the finished work. The wind moves across his face. The stone is warm under his right hand, where he is steadying himself against the cliff. The relief is done. The king stands in profile, bow over his shoulder, his left foot on the throat of a man lying face up. In front of him, a line of 9 men with their hands bound behind them and a rope around their necks, each a defeated king from the inscription. Above the relief, a winged figure in a solar disk, the god, Ahura Mazda, looking down. Below and around the figures, the writing. 3 languages, more than 1,000 lines of text. The whole composition is about 5.5 meters wide and 3 meters tall. From the road, the figures are smaller than a thumbnail. The king's instructions on this last day are clear. Cut the ledge away. The sculptor understood. The writing is meant for the future. The king has dictated in the 4th column of the Persian version that whoever reads this in time to come must not destroy it, must preserve it, must proclaim it, and must believe what it says is true and not a lie. He has put a curse on anyone who damages the stone. He has put a blessing on anyone who keeps it intact. And to make sure of his own command, he has ordered the path destroyed. The sculptor signals to his men. They begin at the far end of the ledge. The chisels eat the rock. The men work backward, removing the floor as they go, until the only thing holding them up is the rope tied to iron rings in the cliff above. The sculptor is the last man standing. He looks down once at where the ledge used to be. Then he steps off the cliff and lowers himself. The inscription can be seen from the road, in 3 languages, by every traveler for as long as the road exists, and no one ever will be able to touch it. Darius the Great has just built the most carefully protected message in human history. He has also built, although he does not know it, the longest puzzle. A king is riding east into the night. His horse is white and exhausted. His escort is what is left of an escort. The plateau is cold this time of year, and the dust on his cloak is dust from a battlefield 3 days behind him. His name is Darius. He is the 3rd king of that name. He is not the same Darius. He is the man who inherited the crown his ancestor cut into the cliff at Behistun 2 centuries ago, and he is the man who is about to lose it. The battle was at a place called Gaugamela, on the plain east of the Tigris. The date was the 1st of October, 331 BC. He brought everything: 40,000 horsemen, 200 chariots with blades on the wheels, war elephants from India, the army of an empire that had ruled the world for 220 years. The other side was a Macedonian army 1/3 the size, commanded by a 25-year-old king named Alexander. The Macedonians broke the Persian center. Darius left the field on horseback. He has been running ever since. He does not yet know that his own cousin Bessus will kill him within a year. He does not yet know that Alexander will fold the imperial cloak around the body, send it to Persepolis to be buried with the other kings, and then announce that he himself is now the heir of Cyrus. He only knows the cold of the night and the smell of his own horse and the fact that no one is coming. What no one in this scene can see is that the languages are starting to die. Persian will live on in a changed form for 2,000 more years. But the Persian Cuneiform that Darius I invented for his cliff, the script with 37 signs made specifically to carry the king's voice into the future, that one has already stopped being learned. With Alexander, the Greek-speaking world arrives. Aramaic stays. The old Persian script of Behistun is now a curiosity, then a memory, then nothing. The third Darius rides on into the dark. The cliff is 600 kilometers behind him. The wind is starting to forget how to read it. The old scribe sits cross-legged in a room of unbaked brick in the city of Babylon. The clay is cooling under his thumb. The afternoon is fading, and the room is loud with the sound of his own breath, because there is no one else in the room. He is writing an astronomical text. The signs are cuneiform. He has been doing this for 50 years. So did his teacher. So did his teacher's teacher. The list goes back more than 2,000 years. He is the last student his teacher ever had. His own students stopped coming. There were 3 at the start. 2 died of fevers. The third found work as a clerk in Aramaic, which is easier and pays better, and is what everyone in the markets now uses. The boy still comes by sometimes to ask after his health. He never asks about the script. The scribe finishes the line. He looks at the date he has written at the top of the tablet. The year, by the local reckoning, corresponds to something like 75 AD. He does not know that this tablet will be the last cuneiform document ever dated. He only knows that no one is going to read this after him. He writes it anyway because the stars need to be recorded, and he is the only person left who knows how. He sets the stylus down. Outside, the city of Babylon, which built the script 3,000 years before, is half empty now. Most of its temples are quiet. Its libraries are crumbling into the soil. In another 200 years, no one alive will be able to read the tablets they leave behind. The cliff at Behistun, 600 kilometers to the east, has stopped being a message and started being scenery. Travelers pass beneath it. They invent guesses. A Greek geographer thinks it is a monument to Semiramis, a legendary queen. A later Persian poet thinks the figure of the king is the lover of a princess named Shirin, and the cliff is renamed Behistun, the place without columns, and a love story is told about it for the next 1,000 years. The writing is right there. No one can read it. "2,350 years have passed since the stonecutter cut away the ledge. In that time, 3 scripts have died. A city has emptied. An empire has been forgotten and remembered and misnamed. The cliff is no longer the place where the gods live. It is a backdrop. It is scenery. It is a wall with mysterious markings on it that travelers point at and guess about. The Persian word drauga has not been pronounced for 1,000 years. The name Ahura Mazda survives only in the prayers of a small religious community in India who left Iran centuries ago to keep their faith. The phrase Adam Daraya Vaush Shayatia Vazraka, I am Darius the great king, has not been read aloud by anyone since before the birth of Christ. Darius commanded the future to preserve his words. The future has not preserved them. The future has only preserved the rock they were written on. What he could not have foreseen, what nobody in the ancient world could have foreseen, is that in the year 1835, a 25-year-old British officer will rein in his horse on the road beneath the cliff, look up, and decide to spend the rest of his life finding out what the writing says. A man on a horse reins in on a dusty road in western Iran. It is late summer of 1835. The sun is behind him. He is 25 years old. He is wearing the uniform of a British officer of the East India Company, modified for the heat. There is sweat under the leather of his belt, and the heat is rising off the ground in waves. He looks up. He has ridden past this cliff before, on the road between Kermanshah and the Babylonian plain. He has seen the markings high up on the wall and noted them in his journal, as an item of curiosity. This time, something different happens. He squints. He shades his eyes with one hand. He realizes that what he is looking at is not decoration. It is writing. 3 columns of it. Cuneiform. His name is Henry Creswick Rawlinson. He is the son of a Lincolnshire horse breeder. He joined the East India Company as a cadet at 16, sailed for Bombay, and in 8 years has become fluent in Persian, conversational in Arabic, and good enough at Pashto to interrogate prisoners. In 1833, he was loaned out to the Shah of Iran, Muhammad Shah Qajar, to help train the Iranian army. That is what he is doing on this road. He is on his way to a military assignment. He is also, although he does not yet think of himself this way, a linguist. He has read in the journals of the Royal Asiatic Society that a German schoolmaster named Georg Friedrich Grotefend has already identified about 10 signs of the Old Persian script by guessing at the names of kings. 10 signs out of 37. It is a start. It is also where the work has been stuck for 30 years because no one else has had access to a long enough text. Behind Rawlinson, 100 meters up the cliff, is a text of more than 400 lines. He does not dismount. He sits there a long time. Then he turns his horse and rides on toward Kermanshah, where he is expected. But he has made a decision, and he knows it, and he will not unmake it. He is going to climb that cliff. A man is standing on a ledge half a meter wide, 100 meters above the road. The wind is pressing him flat against the cliff. In his left hand, a notebook open against the rock. In his right hand, a pencil. He is copying, one cuneiform sign at a time, the words of a dead king. It is November of 1836. Rawlinson has been at this for weeks. The ledge is what is left of the path the stonecutters destroyed. It is not a ledge a person was ever meant to stand on. It is a footing. He has climbed up to it on a ladder pinned into the cliff below the inscription. He is 26 years old. Down on the road, travelers stop to watch. They are the size of beetles. He cannot hear them. He can hear the wind and the scratch of the pencil and his own breath. The breath matters. If it gets too fast, the hand shakes. If the hand shakes, a wedge is copied at the wrong angle. If a wedge is copied at the wrong angle, the sign turns from one syllable into another, and a decipherment built on a wrong sign collapses. This is the work. Climb the ladder. Stand on the ledge. Copy one column of one language. Climb back down. Sleep. Come back the next day. Climb again. Copy the next column. He does this for 2 seasons. He copies almost half of the Old Persian text in 1836, returns in 1837, and finishes it. By the end of 1837, he has, locked in his notebook in Kermanshah, the largest readable sample of Old Persian writing that anyone has ever assembled. He does not yet know what it says, but he has the text. The text is the prerequisite for everything. Without the text, no decipherment is possible. With the text, decipherment is at least possible, even if it takes another 20 years to do. He climbs down for the last time that season. His hands are raw. There is rock dust in his hair. The local guides who hold the ladder shake his hand because he has not fallen. He goes back to Kermanshah and starts writing to London. He is bent over a desk in a low-ceilinged room in Kermanshah. The lamp is a brass kerosene lamp, and the wick is too short, and the smell is in the curtains and in his hair. He has been at the desk since dinner. It is past midnight. His coat is on the chair behind him. His hand is cramped from writing. In front of him, his copy of the Old Persian Inscription in his own neat hand. Beside it, a Greek copy of Herodotus, open at Book 3. Between them, on a sheet of paper, a list. The list is a list of kings. The method belongs to Grotefend, the German schoolmaster, who proposed it in 1802. It is simple in principle. Persian royal inscriptions begin with a formula. I am King X, son of King Y, son of Achaemenid. The names of the kings are known from the Greeks: Darius, son of Hystaspes, Xerxes, son of Darius. If you can find that pattern in the cuneiform, you can guess which signs spell which names. You can guess the syllables. You can build, sign by sign, a sound for each one. Rawlinson has been doing this for months. Tonight, he is checking. He compares the signs at the start of the Persian column against the Greek list. He reads aloud, softly. Darayavaush, the signs match. Vishtaspa, Hystaspes in the Greek. The signs match. Haxamanish, Achaemenid, the signs match. He sets the pencil down. He is alone in the room. There is no one to tell. 13 years earlier, in Paris, a young Frenchman named Jean-François Champollion had run through the streets shouting that he had read the hieroglyphs. Rawlinson does not run. He is not in Paris. He is in Kermanshah, on the road to nowhere in particular, and the people in the next room are asleep. He picks up the pencil again. He starts on the next line. The old Persian text has 37 signs. By 1846, 8 years from this lamplit night, after a war in Afghanistan and a posting in Baghdad, he will publish his full decipherment. The old Persian script will be readable. One of the 3 columns of Behistun will speak. The other 2 are harder. He is 34 years old. He is on a ladder. The ladder is leaned against the cliff at an angle, and the top of it ends at the edge of the niche, where the Elamite version of the inscription is carved. He has never reached the Elamite before. The Elamite is to the right of the Persian, on a face of rock that requires crossing a stretch of cliff with no foothold. The year is 1844. The date in his own log is the 7th of September. The plan is to spend the whole week, the 4th through the 10th, copying everything he can reach and pressing damp paper against the parts he cannot copy by hand. The damp paper makes a squeeze, an impression of the carved signs that he can take down to the ground and study at leisure. He is alone at the top of the ladder. The bottom of the ladder rests on a small ledge that he has reached by climbing earlier in the day. Beneath the small ledge, 100 meters of nothing, he shifts his weight to copy a sign. The ladder shifts with him. He feels it before he sees it. The lower section, which is 2 pieces lashed together with rope, has come unlashed at the joint. The rope has rotted, or the knot has slipped, or both. The ladder breaks under him. The upper section, the part he is standing on, stays where it is, leaning against the face of the rock. The lower section, the part his weight had pinned to the ledge below, lets go. It falls. He hears it hit the slope and hit it again, and a third time lower down until the sound dies. He is hanging from the top section, his hands on the rungs, his feet against the cliff. Below him, on the ledge, his bottom section used to rest on, there is now nothing to step onto. He has to get to a different ledge. He sees one, narrow, a few centimeters wide, to his left. He works himself sideways along the cliff with his hands. He gets one foot onto the narrow ledge. He gets the other foot onto it. He stands there, against the cliff, 90 meters of air below him. His Kurdish guides see him from the road. They start scrambling up the slope to reach the foot of the cliff. It takes them an hour. He stays where he is. He does not move. He does not look down. He waits. When the guides reach the cliff and re-rig the ladder from the rope loops Rawlinson himself had hammered into the rock the previous year, he climbs down. He is shaking. His hands are torn. He has not lost the notebook. The next day, the 8th of September, he goes back up. He completes the Elamite copy. He takes the squeezes. He carves his own name into the rock under the inscription in a place he can reach, a small line in English. He leaves it there. A man in his 50s is sitting at a writing desk in a damp parsonage in Killilech, in County Down, on the northeast coast of Ireland. The Irish Sea is 2 fields away. The wind off it is in the chimney. His fingers are ink-stained, and his shirt cuffs are folded back. His name is Edward Hinks. He is the local Church of Ireland clergyman. He has never seen the cliff at Behistun. He has never been east of London. He is sitting on this evening in 1846 with a copy of Rawlinson's old Persian transcription in front of him, and he has noticed something Rawlinson did not. Hinks is a quiet man. He preaches on Sundays to a small congregation. The rest of the week he reads. He has taught himself Egyptian hieroglyphs, Aramaic, and Akkadian without ever speaking a word of any of them aloud. He works with a paper, ink, and patience. What he has noticed is that the old Persian script is not, as Grotefend assumed, an alphabet. It is something more interesting. Some of its signs stand for a consonant. Others stand for a consonant plus a vowel. Ka, ka, ku. It is partly syllabic. Once Hinks sees this, the whole sign list shifts. Several values that had been guessed wrong slot into place. The same year, Hinks turns to the Babylonian column. The Babylonian, which is Akkadian written in cuneiform, is harder by an order of magnitude. It is not alphabetic. It is not even cleanly syllabic. It is a mixed system, where a single sign can carry several different sound values depending on context, and where some signs are not sounds at all, but whole words. Hinks calls this phenomenon polyphony. He coins the term. He writes letters to Rawlinson in Baghdad, to Edwin Norris in London, to Jules Oppert in Paris, to Henry Talbot, the photographer, who is also a cuneiform scholar in his spare hours. None of them have ever met in the same room. They write, they share copies, they argue, they correct each other. A French scholar looking at the same group much later will call them the Holy Trinity of Cuneiform: Rawlinson, Hinks, Oppert. The phrase will stick. It will leave out Norris, Talbot, Westergaard, the Dane, Lassen the German, and Burnouf the Frenchman. It leaves out Hinks, too, in another sense. Hinks publishes. Hinks is read. But Hinks is not famous. He is the man in the parsonage. Nobody writes a memoir about Hinks. A man is standing on the road at the foot of the cliff, his head tipped back, a brass telescope pressed to his eye. He is 37 years old. His hair has begun to thin. His back hurts. He has spent 12 years of his life climbing this cliff and copying this writing, and now he is reading it from the ground. It is the summer of 1847. Rawlinson has come back to Behistun with one task left. The Old Persian is done. The Elamite is done. The squeezes from 1844 are now in the hands of Westergaard and Norris, who will work out its 131 signs over the next several years. What remains is the Babylonian. The Babylonian is the highest column. It runs above the Persian and the Elamite on a face of rock that is more weathered, more cracked, and harder to reach than anything below it. The water that runs down the cliff after winter storms runs across the Babylonian text before anything else. The signs are eroded in places. In other places, they are crisp. Rawlinson cannot climb to it. He knows this. 12 years of climbing have cost him. The shoulder he tore in Afghanistan does not extend the way it used to. He can read the Babylonian through the telescope line by line with effort, and he does what he later calls reading it twice over by telescope, transcribing as he goes. But the telescope is not enough. To do real work on it, he needs squeezes. He needs papier-mâché pressed flat against every line of the text, so that the impressions can be carried down to the ground and shared with Hinks in Kilalik and Opert in Paris. The Babylonian is 112 lines long. To squeeze it, someone has to climb to it, hang there, and press wet paper across the face of the rock for the time it takes the paper to dry into shape. He looks for a climber. The men of the local villages know the cliff. They know it as scenery. None of them have ever climbed it. None of them have any reason to. The cliff is what is above the road. It is not a thing you go up. He posts the word. He offers payment. He waits. A workman is standing in a trench in northern Iraq. The trench is the side of a hill called Kuyunjik, across the Tigris from the city of Mosul. The hill is not a hill, it is a buried city. He has been digging for 6 hours, and the basket beside him is heavy with broken clay. He bends down and picks up one of the pieces. It is the size of his palm. It is covered in wedge-shaped marks. He turns it in his hand. He cannot read it. No one he knows can read it. No one alive on the planet can read it. The year is 1850. The workman is from a village south of Mosul. He is being paid by an Englishman named Austin Henry Layard, who has been digging into this hill for 4 years now and shipping everything he finds, by river raft and by sea, to a museum in London. What he is digging into, although neither he nor Layard fully understands it yet, is one of the largest libraries the ancient world ever built. It is the library of an Assyrian king named Ashurbanipal, who ruled in the 7th century BC. Ashurbanipal sent scribes across his empire to copy every tablet they could find. He collected the medical handbooks, the omen texts, the prayers, the law codes, the dictionaries, the king list, the astronomy tables. He collected an epic poem about a king named Gilgamesh, written down 1,000 years before he was born. He collected hymns to gods whose temples were already in ruins when his scribes copied them. He put all of it into rooms in his palace at Nineveh. When the city fell to the Medes and the Babylonians in 612 BC, the palace burned. The fire baked the clay tablets harder than they had been before. They survived. They sat in the ground for 2,500 years. Now they are coming back up by the basketful. Layard's successor, an Iraqi-born archaeologist named Hormuzd Rassam, will excavate more rooms of the same library in the years after. Tens of thousands of tablets will arrive in London. They will be sorted, catalogued, numbered, and shelved in the British Museum. They will be unreadable. Every single one of them is in Akkadian cuneiform. Akkadian cuneiform is the language of the Babylonian column on the cliff at Behistun. The decipherment of the cliff and the readability of the library are the same problem. If no one cracks the Babylonian column, no one will ever read the Gilgamesh tablets. No one will ever read the Code of Hammurabi, which is in a museum in Paris by now, taken from the soil of Susa. No one will ever read the chronicles that name the kings the Hebrew Bible called the kings of Assyria. No one will read the letters between fathers and sons in Ur in the year 1800 BC. No one will read the medical text that describes how to treat a fever. No one will read the hymn that begins, "He who saw the deep." All of it depends on the cliff. The workman drops the broken tablet back into his basket. He carries the basket up the slope of the dig and tips it into a larger pile, which a clerk in a sun hat will sort tomorrow. The workman does not know any of what is about to be unlocked. He only knows that today he is being paid by the day, and the basket is heavy and the sun is going down. In Baghdad, 600 kilometers south, Henry Rawlinson is at his desk writing letters to London about a Kurdish climber. A boy is hammering a wooden peg into a crack in a rock face 100 meters above the road. He is perhaps 14 or 15 years old. He is wearing the clothes of a Kurdish village, a coarse shirt, a wide belt, no shoes. The hammer is heavy in his right hand. The crack is narrow. The peg sinks into it half a centimeter at a time. He has come from far away. Rawlinson's own account, written later, says he arrived from a distant village on his own, having heard there was an Englishman at the cliff offering payment to any man who would climb it. He volunteered. Rawlinson asked him whether he had ever done any climbing. The boy said he had not. He looked at the rock for a while. Then he said he would do it. He is doing it now. The peg is set. He ties a rope to it. He swings out from the rock face along the rope, hand over hand, until he is on the far side of the eroded section of the cliff that no ladder can be set against. He drives a second peg into another crack. He rigs a short ladder between the two pegs. He climbs onto it. He is now hanging in front of the Babylonian column. 112 lines of writing, level with his face. He cannot read it. He does not know what language it is. He has been told, through the local guides, to press the wet paper against the rock and to hold it there while it dries into the shape of the signs. He does it. He works his way line by line. He presses the paper against the cuneiform. He waits. He peels it off. The signs are now in the paper, in reverse. Perfect. He lowers each sheet on a thin cord to Rawlinson, who is standing on the road below, with the telescope and a notebook. Rawlinson catches each one, looks at it, and writes down which lines it covers. It takes most of the day. When the boy comes back down, Rawlinson pays him. The amount is not recorded. Rawlinson writes that it was a considerable sum and that he gave it freely. The boy takes the money and walks back. His name is not written down. His village is not written down. He does not appear again in any document. 2,350 years after the stonecutter cut away the ledge, a hand has touched the inscription. It is not the hand of an emperor. It is not the hand of an officer. It is the hand of a boy whose name we will never know. The thread is rejoined. Around 520 BC, the third year of his reign, Darius I commissioned an inscription on a cliff in western Iran. He wrote it in 3 languages because his empire had many languages, and he wanted to be read by all of them. He put it 100 meters above the road because he wanted to be seen by everyone who passed beneath it. He had the ledge cut away because he wanted no one to be able to touch it. And he wrote, in the 4th column, an instruction to whoever would read it in the future. Do not destroy this, preserve it, proclaim it, and believe what it says is true. For 2,350 years, no one read it. The languages died. The empire fell. The cliff became scenery. The story of a king who killed an impostor and saved Persia from a lie became the story of a stone king who loved a princess named Shireen, which was a different story altogether and was not true. Darius made one mistake. He thought being read in the future meant being read in his own language. It did not. To be remembered in the end requires that someone, sometime, can read. That is the harder demand. Languages do not stay alive on their own. They are kept alive, sign by sign, voice by voice, by the people who teach them to the next generation. When the chain breaks, the language goes silent. And once a language is silent, nothing it wrote stays meaningful. It becomes texture. It becomes scenery. The thread back to Darius did not run through one person. It ran through a network. A German schoolmaster in 1802, comparing Greek lists of kings to copies of inscriptions he had never seen with his own eyes. A young Frenchman in 1822 who broke the Egyptian hieroglyphs and proved that a dead script could speak. A British officer who copied a cliff over 12 years. An Irish clergyman in a damp parsonage who saw that the script was syllabic, not alphabetic. A Frenchman in Paris and a Dane in Copenhagen, and a photographer in the English countryside. Working on paper, they sent each other through the post. And in 1857, in London, after the Old Persian and the Elamite had been read and the Babylonian was finally yielding, 4 of them, Rawlinson, Hincks, Oppert, Talbot, were each given a copy of the same inscription, a long Assyrian text on a clay prism. They translated it separately in sealed envelopes and submitted their translations to the Royal Asiatic Society. On the 25th of May, the envelopes were opened. The 4 translations agreed in their main lines. They differed in details, where one read wild buffalo, another read wild elephant. And the differences were honest, and they were small, and they did not unmake the agreement. The cuneiform was decipherable, the thread was held, and inside that thread, almost invisible, is the hand of a Kurdish boy who climbed a cliff once in September of 1847, and was paid well and went home. From that hand downstream comes everything. The reading of Gilgamesh by George Smith in 1872, the reading of Hammurabi's Code in 1901, the reading of Ashurbanipal's library, sign by sign, over 170 years, the reading of every cuneiform tablet that has ever come out of the soil of Iraq and Iran and Syria and Turkey. It all descends in the end to a hand without a name. This video honored a boy whose name was not written down. The next video honors another thread that almost vanished. In the year 921, a court official named Ahmad ibn Fadlan was sent north from Baghdad with a diplomatic mission up the Volga River to a kingdom of converted Turks called the Bulgars. On the way, he stopped at the camp of a group of pagan traders from the north, the Rus, the Vikings of the Eastern River Road. He watched them, he talked to them, he saw the funeral of one of their chieftains in a ship on a riverbank, and he wrote it all down in such detail that his account, the Risala, became the single most important first-hand description of a Viking ritual we have. His manuscript was almost lost. It survived, partially, in copies. The full version was rediscovered in 1923 in a library in Mashhad, in Iran, the same country where the cliff at Behistun stands. The thread passes through the same ground twice. Subscribe. The next civilization is being prepared. Every empire ends. The thread does not.